What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 11 of Press Y. This is Kelton Burns. I'm joined by Kameron Donahoe, as always, and we got some news for you. So, Cameron.
Kelton.
What's cube-shaped, green, and just had a massive leak of insider information?
Is it a little company called Microsoft?
It is.
Kelton?
Microsoft. Microsoft had a massive
yeah.
leak this week, guys. It's going to dominate this episode, most likely. So, earlier this week,
Hell yeah.
Microsoft provided some documents to the court in the FTC versus Microsoft case that me and Cameron have covered multiple times. The mistake made here was that the link to the documents was publicly accessible, which led to all the documents being leaked online.
Jesus Christ.
It's worth noting that a lot of these documents are pretty old. Like, they range from a year ago to 3 years ago or older, so we don't know exactly if this information has changed. Maybe some of these plans have changed since these documents were made. So keep that in mind. But let's take a little look under the hood of the Xbox and see what's going on. So,
Yeah, let's air out some dirty laundry.
I'm just going to go down. I got them on bulletins, Cameron, and if you have anything that sticks out to you, you just stop me there, all right?
Yeah, let's dive into these poopy little Microsoft drawers. Let's do it.
At one point, Microsoft was considering buying Nintendo and Valve. In an email, Phil Spencer is quoted saying that getting Nintendo would be a career moment, and it's just taking a long time for Nintendo to realize that their future exists off of their own hardware. A long time. Valve, it was also quoted in the email, Valve, they own Steam. Microsoft board of directors were fully supportive if either opportunity arises to purchase either Valve or Nintendo. So, I don't know, dude, I shudder to think of a world where Xbox owns Valve and Nintendo.
Man, this is giving real, toxic Disney villain vibes where, the princess doesn't realize that she's in love with me just yet. Trust me, she's in love with me.
They just haven't realized that their future lies off of their own hardware.
Yeah, real Gaston Jafar vibes right now from Microsoft. Talking about the Princess Nintendo.
Next up, across a Bethesda games roadmap, and this document looked to have predated them being acquired by Microsoft, showed plans for multiple unannounced titles like Dishonored 3, Ghostwire Tokyo 2, Doom, Year Zero, and remasters of both Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Fallout 3. It's worth noting that in this roadmap, it also showed Starfield coming out in 2021. Obviously, that didn't happen. So that just goes to show, we don't know how accurate this roadmap is. We don't know if Ghostwire Tokyo did well enough to justify getting a sequel. So this is just a plan that Bethesda Games had in place at one point. But I think the key takeaways here, Dishonored 3 and Doom Year Zero, those I feel pretty confident. Doom Year Zero sounds like maybe a prequel.
Dishonored 3.
Dishonored 3 would be cool. And then a remaster of Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Fallout 3. We've talked about Oblivion previously. I don't know if a remaster is just gonna be slap a fresh coat of paint on it, and we still have all the same, it's running the same engine, same voice lines and everything. So I don't know how extensive that remaster would be. A Fallout 3 remaster would be kind of cool. I would probably play that.
I am so for both a Fallout 3 remaster and an Oblivion remaster, and frankly, I'm fucking shocked that it hasn't been done already. That is such a goddamn Bethesda move. They've remastered and re-released Skyrim how many goddamn times? Why not just give some of their other titles a little love,
Yeah. No, you raise a good point. I agree. I think, I would love to see a Fallout 3 and a New Vegas remaster.
I totally agree.
Because Fallout 3, if you go back and play Fallout 3, it is really showing its age. And I guess the same could be said for Oblivion.
Dude, man, if they could just add a sprint button to that game, holy shit. That would go so far. Just update the graphics a little bit and just add an R3 sprint button. That would add some legs. That would literally add some legs to the entire game.
They'd be running
experience.
on 2 legs.
Yes. On all cylinders as well.
Next up, it is revealed that in 2022, 3/4 of Xbox gamers had a Series S instead of a Series X. More recent data suggests that number is now getting closer to 50-50. But interesting to see that the Series S was so popular that about 3/4 of Xbox gamers had one.
Is that the smaller one?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
It's kind of like
the cheaper one.
Yeah, the cheaper one that's not really a next-gen console.
Okay, well, you don't need to do some mudslinging there, man. You don't have to demean Xbox Series
Well,
S.
I mean,
Seems
on that
a little
topic,
rude.
The reason Baldur's Gate 3 didn't come out on Xbox Series S and X is because they named the Series S as being too old of hardware to run it. And now that they found some agreement with Microsoft to figure out how to get it on the console, because if you remember, all games that come out on Series X also need to come out on Series S. So they want it to be viewed as like, you can play on either or. It's not like you buy a Series S and then you can't play some game. But that is a big headache for developers who now have to make games that can run on slightly older, less powerful hardware with the Series S. And so that can create kind of a unique headache for developing a game for Microsoft, is that you need it to be running on two different levels of power.
Having that like weird halfway house of a console and having to develop games for both that as well as like new consoles seems like such a goddamn headache to deal with,
And on the topic of that, an Xbox mid-gen refresh codenamed Xbox Brooklyn is detailed to be releasing next year. It's going to be all digital, and it's the same price as a Series X, but it's a cylinder instead of a rectangle.
Yeah,
cube.
More fun shapes.
It'll be digital only, have more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, and be priced at $499. We'll also have a new controller, which brings me to the next leak. Microsoft is releasing a controller with haptic feedback.
Whoa. Kelton.
Cameron.
I think we're blowing over this whole new shape thing a little too quickly.
The cylinder?
Yeah.
You excited about the cylinder? I was thinking
about how
wildly
so.
I have my Series X on its side, and I couldn't do that with a cylinder. It would just be rolling around like a dough roller.
But it could also be a good conversational piece. That's all I'm saying.
It would look like a
nice
big
little
Amazon Alexa.
Yeah. Or a big thing of Pringles, which is fun. But also, this is the first opportunity, this like new talk of new shapes by big consoles. We could bring out the Game Sphere. I don't know if you guys ever watched Drake and Josh, but I always wanted to get my hands on that there Game Sphere. I don't know about you guys. I think that's a fun little console design idea. What kind of wacky shape design would you want to see, Kelton?
I just want to know why PlayStation continues to make their consoles look like spaceships, and Microsoft has decided to just go with preschooler building blocks that you slide through those little shape holders.
That's what I'm saying, man. I totally agree. Neither end is getting real creative with it whatsoever. I don't think I need
extremely creative.
I don't necessarily, but I think it'd be fun to have the option, give me something to go with. That's why I recommend the Pyramid, okay? It's sleek, it's sexy, it's new, everyone wants it. I mean, I want it. So that works for me.
Also, in that same email, there was rumblings about a Xbox handheld. Don't know what that is, very briefly mentioned. But if Xbox decides to jump into the handheld space, I think that would be their first time doing that. Do you remember I remember when during the 360 days, there was rumors of an Xbox 180, which would be the handheld, and a 720, which would be the next one. And instead, shit just got wild.
I do love the iterations of new rotations being the new Xboxes rather than this fucking weird code that they do now. They've just gone completely off script.
We went Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X.
It's like the Kingdom Hearts timeline, bro. There's just no continuity whatsoever.
I thought, they're going Xbox One, the next one's going to be Xbox 2. They just want a clean little reset. But no, that's not how that happened, Cameron.
We zig, they zag, man.
Back to what I was saying. They are releasing a new controller which will have haptic feedback, lift to wake, all the features that the DualSense for PS5 has had for a few years now. So it looks like they're catching up technology-wise to the next-gen controller. And
that's
then,
fascinating.
Looking to the future, Microsoft sees its next Xbox as a cloud hybrid machine and is aiming for a 2028 release. Microsoft has described the next Xbox as a next-generation hybrid game platform capable of leveraging the combined power of the client and cloud to deliver deeper immersion and entirely new classes of game experiences. So that's a lot of PR speak we don't really know much about this thing, except for that it looks like it's going to be utilizing the cloud. and coming out in 2028.
Man, it sounds like they're trying to like take over the universe, and with that pitch, and I'm just like not a fan of it whatsoever. It just sounds like that's the building blocks for the apocalypse, and I'm not here for it.
What do you think the name will be?
For the cloud service?
For the next gen cloud Xbox.
Yeah. I think the name will be Xbox Armageddon. That'd be a good one. Xbox Infinite. Actually, as an answer, I think Xbox Infinite.
I'm gonna go
is what it's gonna be.
I think it's gonna be named Xbox.
Why is that?
This will be 2 times as hype as the first Xbox.
You know what? That's a tough pitch. A little simple, but I think there's a lot of elegance in that pitch, Kelton, and I respect that.
Next up, we have our first look at how much Microsoft pays for AAA games to be on Game Pass. So this is never really shown before, and these are all estimates. This is from an insider document estimating how much they're going to have to pay for upcoming games to come to Game Pass. And Jedi Survivor...
Smell that, Kelton? Smells like dirty laundry. That shit rank.
Jedi Survivor was described as a crown jewel and had an estimation of $300 million to bring it onto Game Pass. And
damn.
For those who don't know, Jedi Survivor did not come to Game Pass, so I guess EA turned that offer down. Gotham Knights was valued at $50 million, and that is coming to Game Pass. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga was estimated at $35 million. Baldur's Gate 3 was probably undervalued, at $5 million. And Red Dead Redemption 2 was estimated to cost $5 million a month, while Assassin's Creed Mirage was estimated to cost $100 million. So yeah, little peek at how much they pay for games to come to the service. I wonder how much money Game Pass makes through subscribers.
I personally think I both have like the PlayStation Premium subscription as well as Xbox Game Pass, and I think that Game Pass is a significantly better selection of games personally. And I think that those price points you're pointing out is just like putting on full display just the deep pockets that Xbox has at its disposal, and how it's just able to fucking outpay for putting these huge titles on their subscription service. So I think that's actually pretty interesting.
I was actually thinking about that today earlier. I was playing. I was on my PlayStation and I was looking. It said new titles have been added to PS Plus, the like subscription service for the Central or whatever it is. And I went on and I looked at them and I was like, I wonder. Now that I have a little bit more context on how some of these games are valued at coming to subscription services, I wonder how much PlayStation is paying for each of these games.
Yeah, I assume that's not just information that is public.
No, we would need an insider leak.
Get to leaking, Sony. Come on, Xbox is leaking all over the place.
So yeah, I'm sure
someone get your grubby little fingers in the files of Sony, please. Jeez.
Oh, it was also revealed that Phil Spencer wasn't impressed with the PS5 reveal, but he did buy a PS5 Horizon Forbidden West bundle.
Is Phil Spencer is the Xbox guy?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's some piping hot tea. That's some gross little laundry right there. It's a stale sock if I've ever smelt one.
So yeah, that's gonna wrap up for most of the key things I took away from the leak.
You would think Microsoft would be smart enough to add little chips into all their employees to where if they touch products from Sony or Nintendo, their skin would just like start boiling or like their head would explode. But, I guess it's okay for Phil Spencer to have a PS5.
I also saw brought up that when Microsoft, and I think this applies to most anyone else, when they give anyone a copy of a game for a review or demo or whatever, they all have hidden secret little unique watermarks so that if the footage leaks online, they can immediately identify who was the one that had the copy that leaked.
That makes sense.
So yeah. But yeah, it's gonna wrap it up for that leak. I know there's like maybe there might be more details that'll emerge that we can wrap up again next week, but so far those were all the highlights that I saw and that I thought were worth noting. So yeah. I jumped into some Modern Warfare 3 Zombies details because that got some information this week in a new trailer. And I found out, I assume that everyone has a very high interest in this because I have such a personal interest in this. So I just wanted to help out our listeners, Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
This zombies mode is being led by Treyarch. It will be their first appearance in a Modern Warfare game, just to work on the zombies mode. And it looks like you're teaming up in a squads type mode where you'll see other squads in an open world, maybe similar to the Outbreak mode in Call of Duty Cold War. Big kind of map like Warzone. And there'll be like narrative cutscenes. To be honest, guys, looking more into this, I lost a lot of my excitement for the zombies mode, and I think the only thing keeping me excited for Modern Warfare 3 right now is that it will have remakes of the classic Modern Warfare from like 2010 or whatever. That's probably the main thing that's keeping me interested.
I mean, because when I agree with you by that description alone. Like, when I think zombies, I think like claustrophobic hallways with the boys drinking soda and Juggernog.
Soda.
Well, yeah, little sodas, like fucking cocktails and power-ups or whatever.
I feel you. Did you play Outbreak in Call of Duty Cold War?
No. What was it similar to this, where it was like a huge open world map almost?
Did you play any zombies in Cold War?
No. Yeah, a little bit actually. No, yeah, I think I played the one that it dropped with. I believe, like the default map or whatever.
I like that map.
Yeah, I was decent. I liked it.
But then in Season 2, every season I think they released like a single-player map, or not a single-player map, but like a map like that. But then they also released Outbreak, which was like they were reusing old big, I think they're maps straight from Warzone, but I may be wrong. They might just be big open like hillsides, and you would drop in and you'd have like a mission to like go extract something, and this whole time zombies are coming at you they're just spawning in, and it gets increasingly chaotic, but for the most part, kind of like you're saying, not being in a tiny hallway, not having to train because you're in such a giant open area, really eliminated any fear that you really get from zombies. Like, just because you can run, jump pack. I mean, you can get away from them really easily if you just have a giant open landscape. So there's not a lot of like curated moments of tension or choke points or anything like that.
I agree, and I think a huge part of what makes zombies great is that like high adrenaline rush of not having a whole lot of movement options. I think if you're given either more movement options or more open spaces and not enhancing the zombies in any kind of way, you're gonna fucking dance around those goddamn zombies. Like, the beauty of zombies was that you were like you could like sprint and dolphin dive, and dolphin diving was essentially useless.
And I'm sure that they'll add a special infected and like a big boss that'll chase you around and stuff to increase the tension. But yeah, I agree with you. It's also, I think it's being worked into the Modern Warfare 3 lore. Like, there's going to be like Soap and other operators. I don't know. Like I said, I lost a lot of my excitement for the zombies mode. What little I did have in the first place. But yeah, Modern Warfare 3 is coming out in 2 months, I think. Dude, cool. I just spent $160 on pre-ordering the deluxe editions of both Spider-Man 2 and Alan Wake 2, and I do not want to buy another game.
There's so many games out.
I know. So another thing coming out next week, Cyberpunk 2077's expansion Phantom Liberty is almost here. Reviews are praising it. The Verge writer J.A. Peters is saying Cyberpunk is finally where it should have been from the start. Graham Smith of Rock Paper Shotgun is describing it as perhaps the greatest expansion pack ever made.
Okay, Rock Paper Shotgun is a great name. Let's just get that out there, please.
So what's new in this expansion, Cameron? We have a revamped police system. Police no longer spawn out of thin air. There's now a star system, and police will begin offering new challenges to the player, like setting up roadblocks, barricades, or calling upon even stronger soldiers to take you down. There's going to be new stories and new locations on the map. The skill tree has been completely overhauled to streamline the game's original, slightly convoluted skill tree. There'll be new weapons, new vehicles. You can now lean out of cars and fire enemies, and cars can have mounted machine guns and rockets on them. And the cyberware system, where you augment your body through cybergenetic enhancements, yes, has now also been overhauled, streamlining that process. So I think you can I heard that you can become an edge runner now, and there's also like perks in the skill tree from the Edge Runners show. We know that was like kind of like a smash hit.
Fuck yeah!
If anyone hasn't seen Netflix's Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I would highly recommend it. It's really good. And it's only 10 episodes.
Very good anime. Yeah, super digestible, really good, straight to the point. As well as I think it's super interesting that they're willing to tie it into the actual game, which is pretty exciting, I think. As someone who never picked up Cyberpunk,
You never played it?
because I never played it, and I
Oh, I
was
played it
like,
day one.
I bet you did.
It's terrible.
And I bet it sucked. My most anticipated game for like 5 years was Cyberpunk, and then I just heard it was fucking awful. I was like genuinely pretty bummed out when I woke up on that release day, and just like my entire phone was just flooded with just, this is the worst fucking game of all time. It was like waking up on Christmas morning and like Santa Claus is just dead on the floor in front of you. It was so sad. And then you also realize that Santa isn't real and he's like your uncle or something, which makes it even more sad. I'm stoked that Cyberpunk is fucking good again, so I can finally get some of this Cyberpunk juice out of my system, you know what I'm saying?
Good luck, man. Good luck fitting this into whatever the fucking schedule you have, dude. There's so many games coming out right now. Like, on that topic, Lies of P came out. If you even listened to last episode, I subtly kind of imply that I'm not even going to be playing this game, and I'm like, all right, we'll turn to Cameron for the impression. But I decided to download it because it's on Game Pass and just give it a go, because I saw some glowing reviews, and so I was like, all right, let's give it a go. And Jake Balladino, or
Balladino.
Balladino? Jake Balladino? Yeah,
Jake Baldino.
Said-
There's no A after the L. Jake Baldino. That's his
Jake
name.
Baldino, guys. He said, as a non-Souls player, he enjoyed Lies of P. I'm not the biggest Souls player, so I was like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more accessible. Give it a go. I am hooked into Lies of P, guys. It's all I've been playing for days. Like, I have been playing a lot of Sea of Stars, which, by the way, I'm like 17 hours into that game, and I think I've reached
I completely forgot about Sea of Stars.
I know, dude. I'm like maybe halfway, I think, and that game's awesome. I just got to a point where suddenly I'm like building my own town, and I can like upgrade parts of it. Really, really cool. I highly recommend Sea of Stars. It's really cool if you like old school Final Fantasy. Really check that out. But Lies of P, really fucking cool. It reminds me a lot of Bloodborne, and I think that's going to be the most obvious comparison that you see anyone compare it to, because, you know, it's like old gothic city, cobblestone streets, and you're walking around. But I would also compare it to like Resident Evil 4, and that it reminds me a lot, and maybe Resident Evil 8, where I get a lot of that vibe of like walking through an old like rundown village, and there's like infected fucking humans running around, and people have kind of lost their mind and gone a little psycho, and then you're also fighting, puppets, which you could swap out for like zombies or whatever, and things are just kind of getting more and more like both sci-fi, but also kind of like obviously inspired more and more by like old legends like Pinocchio.
That's cool. Like myth and Brothers Grimm type stuff.
Yeah, and it's really fucking dope. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if I would say it's like accessible. Like, it still is hard as fuck. You can't summon another player into your game, but before bosses you can summon like an NPC using like, you use a little currency that you can get, and the NPC is like, he's like semi smart, he'll just go tank damage for you while you try to like get as much damage in as you can before he dies.
That's all you need, man, is just to have the boss not be hitting you in the head.
Yeah.
Like, that is just
it can
some
be the
breathing
difference.
room. Yeah.
So yeah, Lies of P, really cool. I just hit Act 5. I think I might be halfway through on that game. And I guess if you were thinking about picking up Lies of P, I would just say, when you kill a boss, like a big main boss, it drops this little like piece of itself or whatever, and you can decide to use it to get 5,000 essence or currency or souls, or whatever you want to say it is. I forget what it's actually called in Lies of P. Don't do that. Hold on to it, because later in the game you'll unlock a vendor that you can give those things to and get either an amulet or a weapon, and some of the greatest amulets and weapons in the game are in his inventory. I fucked up, and there's like this flame boss, the second main boss. I used the thing afterwards because I had no idea there was a use for it later. I wanted the souls to level up, and now I am locked out of, in my playthrough, getting the greatest weapon in the game, because you can only get it if you use his little drop from the vendor to get this really fucking sick sword. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. No, go ahead.
I love the like risk reward system of boss weapons, where like especially the one specifically where it's like you can only get this weapon one way, and you can either choose to get like a shitload of money right now or like experience or whatever it is, or you can wait a little bit longer and like get a super sick weapon out of it. Like I think that risk reward is so fucking enticing, especially if you're doing like a blind playthrough where you're like, oh man, will I even fucking use this weapon, or like I really need to use this money like right now in order to like afford something else. I love that.
I mean, yeah, it's really cool. It's so I would just give you. I wish that I knew that advice going in. Other than that, great game, really fucking cool. I highly recommend Lies of P.
Does it have a similar like cryptic game mechanic slash like story reveal as Dark Souls or like a Souls like, where like they're not exactly gonna spoon feed you all the mechanics or like have like a pretty in-depth tutorial? They're just gonna kick in the world and like say have fun.
I will say like it'll show like I would say it reminds me a lot of playing Sekiro. It will sometimes show you like hey like I walk up to a gap and on my screen it pops up how to jump across a gap, like press this button and this button to jump.
Right, but it's not gonna be like 10 minutes of you in a safe little arena having you do the same combo over and over again type thing. Okay.
Nothing like that.
Cool. Thank God.
It's a really fun game. It's really rewarding. And there's man the dopamine release when you unlock a shortcut is just like so great. Like when you're so far down a path and it's been a really long time since you hit a checkpoint and then you find a shortcut and you're like, oh my God, there it is. I unlocked this. I never have to run through that thing I just went through again.
I have no idea what that is, but I too, like in video games, just unlocking a shortcut that you realize like links parts of the map together.
Yes.
It makes my little caveman brain go ooga booga, and I love it.
Lies of P does that a lot. And it's
Hell
great.
yeah.
It's also a little bit more forgiving with your souls. Like if I was to die and I had 4,000 souls or whatever they are, I would drop them. I think they're called Igor.
Ew.
Or Egro, something like that.
What a gross little name.
I'm gonna call them Ego, but there's an R in there somewhere. I think they're called Ergo. Yeah, Ergo. Let's say I have 4,000 Ergo and I die. I drop my 4,000 Ergo wherever I died, so I have to make my way back there if I want to get the 4,000 Ergo off the ground. But let's say I die before I get to that 4,000 Ergo. It's going to take a percentage away from the Ergo and then move all that Ergo that I was going after to my new death point. So I might not have 4,000 Ergo on the ground anymore, but I might have like 3,400 on the ground where I died the new time. So it doesn't fully clear away your Ergo, and I really like that because there's fucking... I hate it when I have like 10,000 or some like vast number that's like, wow, it took me so long to save up that much. And then I die and then I fuck up and just die from some stupid mistake and it's gone.
See, that's the difference between me and you, Kelton. I love that. I don't like
Dude,
in the moment
games.
I don't love it.
I have deleted games the moment I died the second time.
Dude, it's don't get me wrong, it's made me put down like Elden Ring a couple times. But like at the same time when that happens, I like in that like pure moment of just loss and sorrow, I'm like, well, that's show business, baby. You know, that's exactly what the FromSoft developers want, man. That fucking feeling right there. You just to be crawling out of the ashes.
Watch me hit this 7-button combo as fast as possible to delete the game off my hard drive. Like what? Bam, 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 gone. Not looking back.
Fair enough, man. I guess we're just two different gamers, star-crossed lovers.
Any games you've been playing recently?
Yeah. I mean, I've been like I've got, like we've been saying, I have such a deep well to crawl out of. But I've been playing Starfield a lot, trying to give it its due.
I heard that once you get pretty like 20 hours in that game, you start to get access to like all of these narrative quest lines that take you to these grand set pieces and these really cool curated little story beat moments, and you get to see like really cool stories unfold, and in those moments Starfield really shines, whereas it's a little bit weaker on the exploration, fast traveling, and
I don't really need I suffer from like pretty intense choice paralysis, I guess. So when a game is like, you can fucking travel the entire cosmos and do whatever you want, I'm like, I'm gonna stay on this planet. The first planet I go to, I'm gonna stay on here and just kind of look at every single rock I can look under, and then maybe I'll go on to the next planet. Don't give me fucking millions upon millions of planets to go explore, please. But that's just me. Like, I totally get why that's very entertaining for some people, but that, like, it seems like a nightmare to just be like, I need to go explore, like, this vast fucking bowl of infinity.
I always forget that there's players that when you first step out of the vault of Fallout, or when you first leave the little scripted tutorial of Skyrim or Oblivion, that someone will just like ignore where the game is pointing them and just go in another direction and just go.
Yeah.
Like there are players out there for sure that do that. And I was talking to someone who did that in Starfield, and they're like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about the main storyline. I just want to go fucking out as far as I can. Like, and I think I major respect to the people that do that. Similar to you, I usually try to stay to the path a little bit because I always feel like that's gonna give me the best experience. But really cool that some people are just like, I'm just gonna go find out what's east. I'm gonna go this direction.
I also respect that like adventure mentality, but that's just not me. But I do feel that way for certain games. For instance, and I don't know if it's how it's like executed or how it's like shown to me as the player, but like in Breath of the Wild, like I love seeing points of interest that aren't necessarily on a minimap or anything. They'll be like, oh, I see this giant lightning storm in the distance, or I see a smoke plume coming up, or like I see a dragon fly over me. Like, my little ADHD brain is going to go chase whatever butterfly that I see is, like, really interesting. But when you give me a map and give me just a bunch of fucking waypoints, like millions upon millions of waypoints, and all of them are just as interesting as the last, that doesn't really entice me to go adventuring, you know? What entices me to go adventuring is, like genuinely cool story beads and like cool visual things that entice me.
I agree, Cameron.
Yes.
And that is going to wrap up, I think, all the time we have for episode 11 of Press Y. We're a little over time here. If anyone listening, you should go check out the Lucid Kickstarter.
I agree.
More on that soon. And yeah, we'll see you next week with episode 12. But this has been episode 11.
Oh, yeah, baby. We made it.
We made it. See you guys next time.
Goodbye.